Hello, y'all. Welcome back to Good Game Reviews. This video, sorry. We're not doing a top 100 video. Today, we're going to be talking about the first preseason of the 2019 season for the New England Patriots versus the Detroit Lions. Now, when I first started doing these videos, the first video I did was on the preseason. Last year I did that one when the Patriots went against the Redskins. So new channel, new start, new preseason, and we're starting off with the Lions game. And the first thing that I wanted to get to is basically the offense. So what I do is I do offense first, defense second, special teams third, and then I cover the good, the bad, and that's pretty much it. But the first thing I want to get to is the offense, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about the passing. Now, the first guy to be on the center for the Patriots was Brian Hoyer. He started it off this game, and he had a pretty good game. He was 12-14, had 2 touchdowns, threw for 147 yards. No interceptions. No interceptions from Hoyer or Stidham. So good night for both the QBs. Stidham, he threw for 14 out of 24, 179 yards and 1 touchdown. So still pretty good night for both guys. Didn't throw any picks. Stidham, I just want to highlight Stidham right quick, because Stidham, like, as far as first games go, even though this is a preseason game, the dude was really, really, really good. I mean, he made throws when he had to. When it was time for him to run out of the pocket, he did. He kept from throwing, like, real risky throws, real stupid throws. When he saw that he was going to get sacked, he curls out, and, he gets out of the box, just throws away so he doesn't get intentional grounding. He as far as like his awareness, it's still got some way to go, but it's pretty good from what you're looking at right now, especially looking at a rookie coming into his first preseason game. His awareness is pretty good. What did I want to say? As far as 2 throws of his, I would kind of take those back. It says 14-24, right? He was 14 out of 24. 2 of those throws I wouldn't really count against them, only because Maurice Harris, wide receiver, had two throws to him in the end zone, which he could have caught 4 touchdowns, but he dropped them. And Maurice Harris, he had a pretty good night. Not a lot of yards. He only had 27, but like I said again, it's only the preseason. He had 3 catches, averaged 9, and 1 touchdown. So actually 1 really good touchdown. So I think he was getting pulled, brings it in with the one hand. So I ain't got nothing to say about that. It was a nice catch. It was a nice catch, nice throw, nice touchdown. So as far as the 2 drops, I'm still looking at those, but everything else besides that, he did pretty good. So another guy I wanted to highlight, speaking of receivers, Jacoby Myers. Now, if anybody knows Patriots Global's channel, Patriot Global, he has been really praising Myers since the summer started, and I just wanted to keep my eyes out, and I wanted to see what he was going to do once this first game started. And he was pretty good. He led the team in receptions, led the team in yards with 69. He had 6 receptions, 69 yards, average 11.5 yards per catch, 2 touchdowns. He had 2 touchdowns, and these weren't just some wide open stuff. I mean, these were some really good grabs with tight coverage. He did his thing tonight. He really did. He had a really good game. I would not be surprised if he started. I know it's too early to call, but from what we've been hearing this summer, going into this game, all the things we heard in training camp, going into this game, first game of the preseason, if he keeps this up, if he keeps this level of production up, he's not going to have any trouble grabbing a starting spot. Guys like I'm saying it right now. Some guys who probably were looking at some starting spots before this, probably gonna have to watch their back. I mean, we all know the Julian Edelman's pretty much safe. We know the N'Keal Harry is pretty much safe. Other than that, everybody else needs to watch their backs because this guy could easily come in and grab a starting spot. So, I mean, yeah. But another guy I wanted to talk about, Braxton Berrios. This was a night that everybody was looking for, at least in Braxton Berrios' case. Not so much as we really want to see what Braxton Berrios looks like out there on the field. It was more like a prove yourself type of night, and I think this whole preseason is pretty much going to be a prove yourself season for Braxton Berrios to see if he can even get a spot on the team, because right now it's kind of looking like he doesn't really have too many opportunities to make the team because everybody's doing so well. You got so many good guys already ahead of him, and you hear about things that were happening in training camp and all of that, and you were thinking, it's not really looking good for Braxton Berrios. But he came to the game. He had 3 receptions, 45 yards, average 15 yards per catch, and I mean he didn't have any touchdowns, but there was some good catches. I'll say they were good catches. Nothing really that like wowed me except for one where he kind of fought for that first down, but other than that, I think people like what he did more when he was, returning punts. Now, he had this one punt return where it just looked like, it's pretty much over for him on this one. And he just turns around and shoots up the side. I mean, the guy, it looked like he was fighting for a spot on that. On that punt return, it looked like he was fighting for a spot. So like I said, this whole preseason is pretty much going to be a prove yourself season for Braxton Berrios to see if he's going to even be able to carve out a spot for himself on the 53-man roster. But right now, it's in the air. Jacoby Myers, I mean, you looking at what he did, and it's like Braxton Berrios is going to have to find some way. Probably not as a receiver because it's just the talent around him is just so good. Probably could find a way to get on that special teams. If he wants to get that starting punt returner, job. I mean, even with that, he's fighting with Gunner, and I mean Gunner's looking like he's trying to get a spot at least in that regard too. So it's a lot of competition for Braxton right now. N'Keal Harry, I wanted to touch on him. He had 2 receptions, 36 yards, average 15. He didn't have a touchdown, but he had some pretty cool catches. And it was one catch in particular where he's running down the side, defenders right on him, really tight coverage, but he just uses his body to jump. He used his body kind of to knock him out of the way and to kind of get up there and snatch the ball back. Out of the air. Just it was a pretty nice catch. He got up, kind of limping a little bit after it, but other than that, I mean, we heard about, if you're a Patriots fan, you probably heard about the injury that he was dealing with a few days ago. I think it's his. It's his leg. I don't know if it's like an ankle thing or if it's the calf, or I'm not sure, but he's been dealing with it for a few days. So I think from now on, they're probably going to they're going to be a little cautious as far as like how much time they're going to give him on the field. But from the few moments that we saw with him on there, it's pretty clear why they got him in the first round. And as long as he can stay healthy, we get him out there on the first week of the regular season, I don't think we have anything to really worry about, N'Keal Harry. Matt LaCosse, he had some pretty good catches. He had 2 receptions, 37 yards, average 18.5, no touchdowns, but he has some pretty good catches. You still gotta keep your eye on that. It's nothing too like wow, no wow factor, but I mean, what are we gonna do at this point? The tight end, as far as like the tight end position itself, is pretty thin, in my opinion. Other than Ben Watson, Ben Watson, he didn't really do much this night anyway. He only had only one reception for 14 yards, but other than him, he's going to be out for the first 4 weeks with the suspension. So it's focusing on that week 1 to week 4. You want to see who, as far as the tight end position goes, is going to help out in that offense. And Matt LaCosse is pretty much your best shot. And you can't really say right now whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's just something you got to keep your eye out on. Inman sighting. Dontrell Inman, he had 2 catches later on in the game, 23 yards, 11.5. It was one impressive catch in particular where he pretty much fought to get to not only get past that first down marker, but to get into the end zone. And for a moment, you thought he had it. He stretched his hand out, got the ball over the end zone line, thought it was a touchdown. They review it, look back at it. Turns out his thigh hits the ground. They call it back to it goes to the 1 yard line. They go ahead and just end up running it through with Nick Brissett, and they get the touchdown that way. But I mean, the fight that he had on that play, it's obvious that he's also trying to get himself a role, and he also has some nice moves out there as far as his route running goes. He has some nice moves out there, so it's looking like a very stiff competition as far as receivers go. You only got really 2 for sure locks, but as far as that goes, I mean, hey, and there's a lot of guys that I wanted to highlight as far as the offense goes, but it's just so much. It's just looking like there's a lot of competition right now. But really, if you want to talk about anything, you have to mention this defense. Oh my goodness, this defense. I want to say they had 9 sacks. 9 sacks. I don't know if that's kind of like a knock on how bad the Lions' backup offensive line is. I don't know if there's a knock on that, or if it's just our guys are just that good. And it wasn't like Bennett out there getting any sacks, or Deidre Wise out there getting any sacks, because they weren't playing. I'm talking about just the backup guys. Chase Winovich got himself a sack. Derek Rivers got 2 sacks. Who else? Terrence Hall got a sack. Byron Core got half a sack. Juwan Bentley got a sack. Calhoun got a sack. Jamie Collins got a sack. Danny Shelton got a sack. I mean, shoot. It seemed like the whole defense was just having a good night. Also, John Simon. Oh man, John Simon. He had a nice interception. He's on the edge, left side. Quarterback goes to throw. He instantly jumps up, bats the ball, and in one motion, he kind of curls the ball down and curls it into his body and kind of takes off with it. He gets tackled, but it was a very nice play, very like instinctive play. One of those things that you just like, you don't really, I mean, you can practice for it, but you don't really like practice for it, and it's not something that you can like teach. It's just one of those instinctive type of things, and it's like I said, it's looking pretty good. Like the D line is looking pretty good. There was stuffing runs. There was getting after the quarterback, making it very hard. I mean, even though nobody in the secondary had any interceptions or nothing, you know, they were batting down passes. They was like covering guys to the point where the quarterback couldn't find anybody, and the D line was just getting after the quarterback, and it was just a total shutdown show from the defense. It was only until like later on in the game that the Lions were even able to put up 3 points, and that was because I think a big penalty. I think it was like PI or something, got them like closer near the red zone, and even then, you know, they made a couple moves. Still couldn't get into the end zone because the Patriots defense was just locking everything down. So kept them to 3 points. The final score was 31-3. So that pretty much tells you the story right there. I mean, I don't know what to say really. I mean, it's just it's a little easy to get excited about this, though. It's really easy to get excited about this. You're looking at the preseason. You're looking at these backup guys going against these other backup guys. You don't know the full strength of this team until you get into the regular season, until you see them against some actual contenders. But we saw what the defense was able to do in the last year of preseason, particularly looking back at the preseason game in week 2 against the Eagles. We were seeing what the line was able to do. We were seeing what the defense was able to do, and it was just like good things to come kind of feeling. And I feel even better, in my opinion, I feel even better about this defense than I did about the defense going into the regular season last year. So, I mean, the secondary is still good, and it looks like the D line has gotten better. So, I don't know. I'm pretty excited. Like off of this first week, off of this first game. Man, it's just looking good, man. It's just looking good. As far as special teams goes, I already told you about what Braxton Berrios was able to do. As far as, you know, looking good on, you know, getting those punt returns and whatnot. He had 4 returns, 35 yards. Gunner had 3 returns, 34 yards. Gostkowski, he had 1 missed field goal. It was like a 39. It was either 37 or 39 yard, and it kind of looked close. It looked like he was trying to curve it in, but it just kept on going, and it just like by a few inches, it just looked like it just went on the outside of the pylon. And I was like, come on now. I mean, I know it's just the preseason and all that, but those are kicks that you got to make. There's no excuse for a veteran kicker like that. That's a chip shot. You have to get that. You have to get that in there. But other than that, I mean, that was the only miss he had for the field goal. He was 1 for 2. So yeah, as far as punting goes, that still might be a thing. I mean, even though Ryan Allen he had the 3 kicks, 100 and 113. I'm trying to see either 100 is 113, 118. Average 39.3. Had one inside the 20. And Jake Bailey, he had one for 45 yards. So, I mean, that's still something to look for. One thing about Jake Bailey, we're still trying to see what exactly is going to be his role, because at the beginning of this game, he actually starts everything off with at the kickoff. So you don't have Gostkowski kicking the ball off. You had Jake Bailey kicking the ball off. So is that just something that they want to do? You know, is that just something that they want to do? Is that do they want them to kick? Do they want Jake Bailey to be kicking the ball off and want Gostkowski to save his legs for the field goals and the extra points? Is that, I don't know. I don't know if that's the route they want to go. But yeah, I mean, as far as a first game in the preseason goes, no, not a lot of negatives. Not a lot of negatives. Only negatives really was there was like this one little communication issue with Dude Dawson and I think it was J.C. Jackson. They ran into each other and allowed a big play for yards, and the missed field goal. Already talked about that. The two drops by Maurice Harris in the end zone. The N'Keal Harry's, leg. I mean, as far as like bad things that happened tonight, not really a lot of bad. It was a lot more good than bad. A lot more good than bad. We got to look at the Pete as the first, like we had our first little challenge for the PI call. The Lions thought they had a pass interference. They throw the red challenge flag. Refs look at it, and they end up saying, "Hey, no PI," And I didn't think it was any PI, but apparently the refs didn't think so either. So we had our first look at that. I was wondering when we were going to get our first look, who was going to be the first one to throw the flag for something like that. And it looks like the refs made the right call on that. So something to look for once the regular season gets here, to see, because it's a weird rule in itself. It's the first time they're doing this, so it's good to see how they were going to handle it in this first game. That being said, it could easily increase, or it can start getting ridiculous once the season actually starts, or it could be like one of those things where it just doesn't get called as much. But I mean, who's to say? It's still, like I said, it's still the first week of preseason, so it could go either way. It could really go either way. But other than that, that was pretty much it. I mean, it was a really good game, really good showing, especially by the defense. And you have Jerod Mayo, who was pretty much calling the defense, kind of taking over that defensive coordinator is type role. I mean, not really. In name, he's the linebacker coach, but we can be kind of honest about it. He's kind of the defensive. He's kind of taking over that defensive coordinator role for this season. So as far as the play calling goes, it was pretty good. Man, it was. I honestly say I can't wait for the season to start. And we got next week with the Titans. So we'll see exactly what they'll be able to do facing up against that D. I think that'll be a better test as far as a defense, as far as an opposing defense goes. I think that's going to be a better test than what we saw with this defense. So yeah, as far as starts go, this was pretty good. I don't want to get my hopes up, but 9 sacks. I mean, you look at 9 sacks. That's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive. But anyway, this has been Good Game Reviews. I'll hit you up with another video next week once we go against the Titans. Hopefully that one goes well. I'm out.